Yeah, working with 3DMe was a lot of fun. It was inspiring. Working with people like with Jerry, who had a biochemistry background, was he's very creative, and it was nice to see sort of some of the theory that we teach students come into life with 3DMe.
So look, over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been looking at a number of companies, particularly abroad, who do this kind of work in creating DVDs for educational purposes. And then we discovered that 3DMe is on the Gold Coast and on our doorstep, so we decided to work with them. And obviously it's good.
I think the difference is that Sonia and Luke are passionate about their company, and I think that's reflected in the final product they produce. What sets them apart is that one of their goals is to raise health awareness. I think several of their projects that have focused on this sort of community engagement, the work they're doing is admirable.
Well, I haven't really worked with a company like 3DMe before, so it's been a novel experience in that respect. But I guess the closest I've come is to talk to agents from big publishing companies, the sort of textbooks I use in my teaching. And really one gets the impression that they are, good at listening and taking on your ideas about how certain concepts might be better presented. But at the end of the day, nothing much changes. The resources they have are the resources you get to use. But with 3DMe, it was very much an interactive exercise, and it was great for me to be able to realize some thoughts I'd had over many years about how I could do a better job of presenting some difficult concepts in respiratory physiology. So in terms of how did it compare, well, it was incomparable, but it was a great experience.
Because we're a specialist organisation, but we wanted to depict multiple sclerosis because it's not easy for people to understand. And I think it was very fortunate that we had a mix, not only a technical mix, but 3DMe also had the ability to, and the background to understand the medical terms and to interpret those in a way that depicted and made it easy for people to understand. Quite a complicated process. So I think I would be fairly safe in saying we haven't had this quality of experience or that depth of understanding from a team, and that's what really I valued. It was a team of both the conceptual and the creative, and mixed that with what I found was a deep knowledge and also an organisation that would take the time to find out, to get that information correct. So it was a unique experience and a very good one for us.
I got involved with 3DMe because patients of mine were related to the people who run the company. And they actually got me involved to do a couple of projects whereby animations were performed from operations which I got done, which then went on to presentations at meetings. And it was a learning experience at that stage for both the company and for myself in pursuing this. And that was a fascinating experience because you're on the road of discovery in doing that.
Similar organisations I haven't dealt with, but I've dealt in the areas of innovation. I remember doing a interactive DVD, or CD-ROM actually, with the AMA, and I thought that was absolutely magnificent until I met you guys. And then I knew what innovation was. So my experience it's blown me away, really, because I never believed we could get to the stage that we've got. And it's thanks to you guys.
Yeah, we teach large numbers of biochemistry students in fundamental molecular processes, and we were able to create visual packages that allowed the students to sort of see what was happening as oxygen was being breathed in, and it was a fantastic learning tool, and the students really responded positively to it.
So one of the first things we wanted to do was to create DVDs for students to teach them about mechanisms of disease. And as a starting point, we've created this first one, which is about what is disease. And it just allows students to explore the concept of disease and how it differs in different social culture backgrounds and so on.
Being on the advisory board from the sort of early conception of the company has allowed me to share with 3DMe my vision of learning with technology, and also to brainstorm ideas for my own research projects with them.
Yeah, look, they've been really great. There are a number of concepts that are difficult in my subject, and this is probably the top of the list. I've really had this idea that I would like to produce some animated explanation of this topic, and when I was able to interact with the folks at 3DMe, they were able to tell me that what I had long dreamed of was in fact possible. And not only that, they just couldn't have been more helpful actually in terms of making sure that the animation was just how I wanted it. It's great that they have people on staff or part of the company who are experienced with the sort of anatomy and physiology that I teach. So that made it a lot easier, because they were able to quickly understand where I was coming from. And I have to say, I was blown away when I saw the first version of this animation. So yeah, great job 3DMe.
The goals were really achieved through being able to provide this complicated information in a form that was both interesting, a presentation that people have come to expect. Multiple sclerosis is a young person's disease, and for a person to be diagnosed, that usually happens in early adult life. So this is the medium in which they have an expectation to receive this information. If I were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis today, I would be all around the world trying to find an explanation for this disease. And so it is really important to us that we are able to present an understanding for all people who are recently diagnosed in a format which is consistent with their expectation.
These animations can be an amazing teaching tool. The only time I'd seen animations previously were produced by multinational companies, and they're fairly generic. They don't make it very lifelike, really. In what was done with this, because it was based on on human anatomy in a more real manner, where portions of the surroundings were slowly taken aback to the core, it actually gave really good teaching videos of the operations which we were showing.
We first met 3DMe in relation to an alcohol DVD, and suddenly it became a visual imagery. The goals we've achieved because of that are far beyond what we would have expected, and the reaction from right around the world to the production has been unbelievable to us. To have it now taken up with the US Defence Force is something we would never have dreamed of, and I put it all down to the work that 3DMe did in producing something that we only had a vision for.
Yeah, I think the 3DMe team is a great team to work with. You've done a really good job in sort of having that a casual work environment, yet totally professional. And I'd like to see them continue to work with academic staff and to get the intellectual input behind some of the packages we developed with 3DMe.
Well, I must say that I've had a really great time working with Sonia and Luke, and I'm hoping that we'll carry on, because this is only the starting point. I have ideas about creating a series of these DVDs for students in terms of all aspects of mechanisms of disease.
I think my message would be stay positive, keep up the good work, and keep winning those awards.
The only message I can really think of at the top of my head is just, you've done a great job and just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I don't know what goes on in the back room there. I know there's lots of fancy equipment and it costs a lot of money. But so however you do what you do, I can't imagine how it could have been improved. So it's quite difficult for me to give a message to a bunch of people who I know have worked hard on this project. Probably some of them I didn't even meet. I'm not really sure. I'm aware that that the operation involves a lot of people working in a very coordinated and supportive way. So yeah, just keep up the good work, guys.
I would like to record our appreciation, and I do so not only on behalf of Queensland, for whom this project was commissioned, but we have a product on our website through YouTube that has been adopted nationally and also internationally. And so I think it's important for MS societies to have a consistent message, and so for us to be able to have this information in a format which is being adopted around the world. I guess my message to 3DMe would be that there is assurance that there was understanding of what our requirements were, and it's been delivered in a mode that is consistent, and clearly it's needed and accepted around the world by, and it's evidenced by our statistics. We measure the people accessing the information we provide, and that is being borne out. It's not just something which we feel good about, it's just something which we can say with a certain degree of confidence, and we want to congratulate you for helping us to achieve that.
Stick with me, because we're going to achieve a lot more things. We've got things in the plan, and you guys have got things in the plan that I think is going to take our foundation, the Drug Awareness Foundation, to heights that we wouldn't have ever thought of. And so there's no way you're going to get rid of us. We're there for the long term, and we just believe in what you're doing and some of the other things that you've done on the side as well. So we're really looking forward to the future. It's kept my interest up. I've been around a long time, but it's certainly got my interest.
We'd certainly be interested in generating other packages for teaching, other molecular processes in cell biology and biochemistry. There are a lot of interesting things that we could explore and develop into packages that can be used in teaching and research.
So as I said, one of the things we want to do is to create a series of these DVDs which explores all aspects of mechanisms of disease. And I'm also hoping that in due course we'll be able to work with 3DMe in terms of trying to sell some of these DVDs in order to create revenue, which will help us to develop more teaching material for the students.
I can only see our relationship going from strength to strength. I'd love to collaborate with them in the future on a medical education project, probably bringing together their creative expertise, their visualization with medical pedagogy and evolving technology we're using just now in our teaching.
Well, as I said earlier, my grand plan is to produce a series of such animations. The physiology that I teach about the respiratory system, it's a very dynamic system. We're breathing all the time, so the lungs are moving, the blood is moving through the lungs, and it can be quite difficult to convey some of these sort of mechanical concepts that are important for the students to understand with static images. So yeah, this first animation has been great. I think with 4 or 5 others looking at key topics in this area, I could really do a great job of getting the concepts over to our health science students, and particularly the first year students, because what I find is that the students we have for 3 years, and then we progress the teaching of respiratory physiology over that time. But what I've found is that they find the concepts quite difficult, and they turn off from physiology at an early stage, and I never get them back again. So I've heard this from several students over the years. So I think if I could grab their attention in that first experience, then I could probably do a better job of teaching them the physiology of this moving system with animations. So that's where I'd like to go. I think we've got to work on getting some funding. It's not cheap to produce these animations, and I'll be looking to do that with 3DMe into the future, and hopefully produce a series of these amazing animations. Thank you.
In the future, I hope to strengthen the relationship that we have developed for a couple of reasons. The first one is that we received a great deal of assistance in achieving this, and 3D-Me provided us with the support which went beyond the level of our contract. So there was a great deal of pro bono work, and that is something which we appreciate, and we have no hesitation in working with 3D-Me in the future. And also the speed of the research and developments which are taking place. We want to ensure that the information we provide is really current, it is up to date, and we would be wanting to continue to provide a message which achieves that, and we have absolute confidence in the relationship that has been established and built up. We have confidence that this information will be depicted in a way that will provide the confidence and reassurance to the people with MS who seek that information. So whilst I can't define exactly how it will be, all I can say is that it will be a continuation of an expanding of the relationship which exists to date, and there is a great deal of promise which I need to pass on to the public, and this is the perfect way to achieve that.
I think this sort of stuff has a real part to play at a surgeon level, at what I'm doing, more particularly if it can be ramped up. I think it also would have a huge place anatomically as an educational tool at medical schools, and that's where I see a huge plus for the future, is to produce that, hopefully relate to medical schools and do it at a base level, so that people can understand anatomy, and maybe even at a training level for trainees at surgery, that it would take them through structures to help with learning operations. So not even at a surgeon level where we need less to actually allow us to learn processes, but at a more base level. And that's certainly the level where the animations come from, is an understanding of anatomy, where each layer down can be taken away to show you the next layer underneath, so you can go structurally through the body. I think it has a potentially huge future. The limitations, well, there's only one limitation, and that's money, because to actually make it superb and keep evolving it to its ultimate is going to be a financial burden. Beyond that, the sky's the limit.
I think we're going to work much closer together, and we're going to develop things that the drug awareness field has never seen before. I'm particularly looking forward to doing a new one involved with depression, and that's exciting because it's not been done before. There's a lot of work being done on depression, and I think that 3D-Me is going to help us do something to not only promote that, but also promote our organisation, Lions, because that's very important to us, that everything we do is shown as Lions doing something. And for 3D-Me to come along on that journey, it's going to make our activities even better, I think.